Yes, I did.
Speaking of marriage, though, I'm glad that you brought that up. There was a segment on Joe Budden podcast, and we had this conversation as well. But they were talking about relationship, and they made a joke about Imani and him being single. And so Imani said that the guys who are not married are in the same boat as him. So the ones that are in long-term relationships, Ice really pushed back on that. Ice is in a long-term committed relationship. Joe is in a long-term committed relationship. And so they pushed back. But Imani was like, y'all niggas just like me. We not married. And so I thought that was interesting. Niggas that said that up here to me. And I definitely disagree. But I did hear out his point. I just think that there are a lot of variables in that argument and just a lot of untruths. The things that he was saying, I do think that there is a difference between a single man and being married. I think everybody thinks that
Not to the government.
True, but you the one who say the government, we got to question the government. So you can't have both ways, double-minded. But yeah, I think there's a difference between like single and married. And I think everybody thinks that there is a difference between single and married until they're offended about somebody bringing up the fact that they're single. Then now they kind of like want to shoot and try to disparage relationship. But for the most part, everybody knows and understands it's a difference, right? Because if it wasn't a difference, then all these cheating narratives, all these bitches ain't shit, niggas ain't shit, all of that wouldn't exist if it didn't matter unless you were married. So that double-minded speak is crazy to me, but I want to know how y'all felt about that. Go ahead, Kenya. Me and you in the unmarried bunch. Fist in the air.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not with you on that at all. Absolutely not. For all intents and purposes, I am married. Okay, and under the eyes of God.
Wow, what about the government? Hold on. When it came to me, it's the government. When it came to you, it's under the eyes of God.
Yeah, yeah.
Lord.
Yeah, Rashad, you're not a religious person. I don't think you ever stepped into any house of faith.
First
so
of all,
I wouldn't put that on you.
I catch mine on Zoom. With it,
Oh, okay.
I catch mine on Zoom.
I agree with you, Manny. I think that them taking digs at him for the singleness it reminds me of like the digs that they used to take at Mall. And it's just like, how dare you? How dare you? If it's to say that Imani has an unstable like track record in relationships, I don't think that just because you're a serial dater and they've all lasted 3 to 4 years at a time that makes you that necessarily makes you different because you cuff women more. Like that's I think because in essence it's like men feel like they get some type of prop for that or there is something to be said for that. But if you're just the always cuffed, never married, I don't know what's the difference between the always fucking and never cuffed. Like it's like we all want to put a parameter like where we're at and like stop it right there. And it's like, no, because you're still not at the final step. So even if I'm at 1 and you at 2, neither of us are at 3. So you just sit back and relax. Okay?
Yeah, I think that that's bogus as hell. Because I do think that there are different steps when it comes to, this thing, right? As far as relationship. As we look at the different steps in, life, right? A bachelor's ain't a master's. A master's ain't a PhD. But you got a master's, you ain't doing bad, you on track, right? And I think that we look at it like from that point of view and instead of, well, nigga, if you ain't got a master's, then you got a high school diploma. It's like, huh? What the fuck? How does that even equate?
It just only works for men. I think my problem, yeah, it sounds great on paper, but I feel like that only works for men. Because then when we flip this conversation and we're talking about women, nobody wants to hear about the fact that she was always cuffed and that she had, 6 long-term niggas in her life. No, we don't care about that. No, you never got married, right? That's the sentiment. So why is it so different for men?
call me crazy. I think that I would assume that niggas would prefer a woman not be married before. Call me crazy. I've never heard a nigga,
No, that's not true. They always say that a woman could be alone at any stage of her life with a kid and not coupled with a man. And the woman that has the divorce on paper, the men will say she's in better standing than the chick without the divorce.
I think that, and a lot of times we all do, we focus on the loud, like squeaky wheel get the grease, right? So we focus on the loudest bunch, but the loudest bunch isn't the majority. There's too many women out here that have gotten married that have had kids by somebody else. There's too many women out here that are in relationships with people, and they were single moms, right? It's just too many. So I think focusing on the few that say that they don't want to date a single mom, all right, whatever. But there's too many single moms getting cuffed and married and
That's only
remarried.
because there's too many single moms.
No, I
That's
think,
not
but even, there's a lot of variables that
the
play.
men gotta.
But there's a lot of variables that play into single mom, right? I think, and this is my issue with just the title of being a single mom, because single mom is looked at as like some downtrodden, she's in distress, she's going through all kind of life obstacles. Oh my God, woe is her. No, 9 times out of 10, you're just not in a relationship, right? Because single dad doesn't hold that same weight. Single
She
dad
is
is like,
going
whatever.
through.
But we
Well,
have to,
there's a reason for that, Rashad. I mean, let's talk. You keep brushing over like very large problems and points because these things. There's a
I think
reason
that
why these things look that way.
no matter the position, because all quote unquote single moms are not just going through these phases in life where life is just handing them shit and woe is them and they can't pay the bills and they're struggling to make things go
Then
by
you don't
and the
talk to enough
dads don't
single
care. And
mothers.
like, no, that's not, but that's how we look at it when we say the term single mom.
Why do we look at it like that? Why?
Because,
Why do we look
because
at it?
women complain.
Why are they complaining?
Because, what? Have you met a woman? Have you met a woman? Y'all don't need reasons to complain.
Rashad, a single father and a single mother are not the same thing.
Yes, they
And
are.
they probably will never be
They are.
because for a few very big reasons. One, in terms of like the rest of life or whatever happens after you become a single father or a single mom, it doesn't look the same for both sexes. Men say all the time why it's typically viewed a bit different is that you don't expect a woman to come into the picture with a single father and provide for him and the kid. She now is like, yes, she's the now, assigned nanny or stepmom per se, but you don't expect her to cough up and now be financially responsible for you and this kid. But it kind of does seem to be that way on the other end for the most part. And for two, if we're talking about the downtrodden and the struggling, yes, you're going to see that more for single mothers because a lot of time, and because I've had a kid, I feel like I can see this now, and before I really didn't, and I thought like the women were capped. But it's like when you have a baby and the father is not there, like being like super present help, the rest of your circle or your community, they do start to form a resentment for having to come in and help you with this kid. So all of the community that you thought you were going to get going into it just doesn't always pan out that way because people, again, like I said, like it sounds nice on paper, but people don't necessarily want that responsibility all the time. And so, yeah, now your mama acting funny and she acting like she can't watch, and now this person don't want to. So it's like you have more struggles in essence because it's viewed differently. It's viewed as though you have made a mistake and this is your punishment. When men become single fathers, we always assume that bitch died or she was a trash asshole when she left you
But see,
and the kid.
I think
So
that,
fuck her. So it's all the sympathy in the world for him.
I think that is, those two things aren't different on the men's side and the woman's side. I think that in a lot of instances, especially this, men just know that ain't nobody coming to save them. So it's no reason for us to get on social media and
But
complain.
people
Hold
do
on.
come and save them, though.
It's no
That's why they don't
reason.
need to come and complain.
It's no
People
reason.
help single fathers, for
No, no,
sure.
no, no. First of
And, or
all,
he always finds a
hold on,
new
wait.
bitch and
Do me a
moves her in
solid. Just
immediately.
do me a solid and Google how many men's shelters there are in this country, and then Google how many women's shelters there are in this country. Google the amount of government benefits as far as men versus women in this country. Just do a quick search and then come back to me when you say there's always somebody there to help a man. What I'm saying is niggas understand that ain't nobody coming to help you. And so it doesn't, we don't have to get on social media and write these think pieces. We don't have to get on here and say all whole think shit and why ain't nobody here and oh my God. No, niggas just gotta figure it out. And so
They
when you ask
do, because
about,
they go. And also, wait, real quick, let me just say this, because I literally, I swear I was just having this conversation the other day with a friend, because it dawned on me, and it was such like a dawning realization, because for all of, when I see like single fathers or men that, are separated from the mom and they got the kid half the time, or certain situations like that, they always got a new bitch, and, they moved her into the house, and now, now they got help because they got a girl in the house. And it hit me that they don't have even the same fear when it comes to bringing a person into the home that women do. Every woman, a friend that I've had that has a kid, is so fearful of men and dating, and when it comes to their children, and they know that, God forbid, it's just me and my kid, I cannot just go and live with a man. That's not an option for me, because they have daughters. So they're like, that's just not an option for me. For the single father, he's probably not even fucking worried about that. And it hit me. That's why they always got a new bitch in the house
but,
playing Diddy.
but one, I think
Kenya,
that's
you cooking.
unfair to say, and
Kenya, you
we're gonna
cooking.
get to y'all, Watcher and Real. I think it's unfair to say that niggas is moving women in to play nanny, right? And that's another thing in where this continued double-minded speaking in where if we hear all the time that a man has to provide, even in relationship, even in boyfriend, girlfriend situations, a man in your manliness and your masculinity is 1000% based on your ability to provide for said woman in your life. Right? And so now that you have provided for that woman in your life, now it's looked at as, nah, you only moving her in your house. You're moving her in your house that you have established, and it's still looked at as a negative. You only want her here to take care of your kids. Bitch, I've been taking care of my kids, obviously, before you got here. We got a house. Like, what is we talking about? It don't make sense. Go ahead, Watcher.
Yeah, man, this conversation is getting good. I must say, I do agree with Kenya as it pertains to the level of threat that a woman presents to a child is different than the level of threat that a man presents, particularly when we get around the conversations around assault. So I agree with you 100%. But there are real concerns that us fathers have to have when introducing our children to the women that we're dating, and predominantly the concern has to do with behavior, right? And so you may say, well, they're so easy to jump and bring another woman into the house. Maybe that might be the case, and this is not to change the temperature of the room, but just to give some a bit of a different perspective. It might be the case that men are better at or more susceptible to bringing new women into the lives of their children, because it is the case that men are better at vetting and assessing a threat danger than women are. Your apprehension selecting a man that you can bring into the home of your child, and you're concerned about them being a predator, it's valid, and you necessarily are very apprehensive and slow in moving to do so because your ability to identify a threat is not as strong or as adequate as a man's ability to do so. And so am I concerned about the behavior that a woman will present to my daughter and whether or not that'll derail the work that I'm doing as a parent? Absolutely. So I'm very selective about the women I bring around my daughter, because I know how they present, how they behave, what they say. All of that will have an impact on my daughter's behavior, and I don't need anything derailing my parenting. So men do consider these things to a high degree. We're just easier at being quicker at making a decision because we understand threat levels differently than women do.
Go ahead, Real.
Nah, I was liking what Kenya was saying. Kenya was cooking a little bit. I mean, it's funny because I went to a birthday party a few years ago, and my wife stayed home, and this dude, he was like, "Hey man, I went to Cabin Fever, like it's like a little like a bouncy house place. I just took my daughters to jump. The dude was having a birthday party for his daughters. He seen me. He said, "Hey man, um." I see you over here with your kids. I've been watching you, man. Come over here to the birthday party, man. My girl left me too, man. Da, 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 da. I'm thinking whole time, nigga, I'm married. My wife at home. I'm giving her a break, taking the kids out. He thought I was a single parent. He thought I was a single dad, inviting me to the birthday party, gave the kids cake and all that. But when I go to the stores by myself, I will admit, people be like, "Hey man, I see you with your kids." When they think I'm single, it's crazy. They be like, "Man, you on your job?" Blah, 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 blah. They be thinking like, "Bro, my wife is at home, bro. I'm not single, bro. I'm married. Relax." So I get what King is saying. It is looked at different though. Honestly, it really is looked at different.
Yeah, I think it's looked at differently. I don't necessarily. It's looked at when we do it as nigga, you supposed to do it. You the dad, right? As opposed to it's looked at as damsel in distress when you say single mom. And a lot of times, and we had this conversation of, are
Women make less money than men. So if he and typically I don't now
But
I
single
can't
only
speak. I'm not
represents
trying to speak.
relationship status, because if I'm doing everything as far as my kid, and if I were, if my kids weren't here and I was on child support and I'm doing that and I'm still active and I'm getting haircuts and getting my daughter hair done and I'm taking them to football and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Yes, you're single in relationship status, but you're not a single parent out here doing this by yourself. And I think we conflate that a lot when we talk about women and being a single mom, because it's automatically thought of that you have no village, you have nobody that's helping you, and it is very stressful and hard, and you're a damsel in distress. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
not what it
Rashad.
is.
That's another thing I wanted to speak on that. Kenya was definitely right about that because our village has shrank over time, bro. Listen, when you think you got a village, listen, man. Sometimes your village is cool for like the first
It's
3 to 4
yeah, like when you
months.
just had the baby or something, like
Yeah,
right, like they be there, and then
yeah,
I'm
like
telling you,
3 to 4 months.
fall
After
off,
about eight,
bro.
9 months, hey, can you watch it? Listen, man. Hey, man. I can tell you some
Everybody got
horror
their back,
stories.
and it's just like for I have I have my mom, and I don't like I'm still he's about to be 1 in 2 days, but I have the luxury of not having to work, and I can just comfortably stay at home with him, and I'm so grateful for that. Um, but I know that like. And obviously like everyone can we can only really speak to what we what we see and what we know, but it's like because in Rashad, I'm trying to find the best way to say this. It's like you ignore so much, like when you speak that way, in a sense, because I feel like you ignore, and it's kind of like you're ignoring reality. And I feel like you're an optimist all the time when you speak about things. And maybe I sound like a pessimist, but really I just think I'm a realist because I don't obviously know it's not all negative, but from what I know, damn, I'm even going crazy. From what I know, when there's a separation that happens, it's not for the most often, it's not always amicable. Most times it's really not. And not even that it has to be the most tumultuous or the most toxic, but the guy is not he's not looking for ways to help the mom. Like he's not looking to help her in a sense. And whatever what he's doing for the child, it always seems to be begrudgingly. And that's why you get these conversations of men thinking, oh, you only care as so much as you care about the woman, or you only these don't come out of nowhere, Rashad. It's because people are going through this shit and they're seeing it in real time. So even if, yes, you are paying the minute amount of child support that was ordered, because for the average is, I think, 300 a month, if that, you're paying that, but you're not trying to work with me on scheduling, or you're not trying to help me out when I get a fever or I get a cold. We don't even communicate like that for real. Like, it's not that. So yes, if my mom is not trying to help me and I don't have friends to help me, yes, it's rough, especially if it's most times it's not even 50-50 for all of the arrangements that I know. They get them kids on the weekends, bro. And it might be 2 weekends out the month, or maybe it is every weekend, but the majority of the time is still the mother. And she is struggling, Rashad, because I don't think you know what the economy looks like right now. Everything's mad
I
expensive.
live here. What are you talking about?
She don't make that much. And yes, she will probably be able to get food stamps. Even with the food stamps, I'm telling you, if that lady got a car and she got to pay car insurance or a car note, and she's paying that rent for that apartment, and most bitches do not have HUD, because nobody that I know has HUD. That's a hard though for the young girlies. That's hard to get because everybody is holding that line up. So the young girl is not getting help on housing. The most you're going to get is food stamps for an extended amount of time. And in the very beginning, you'll get cash assistance, but that ends at like 5 or 6 months. So all you're getting is food stamps. Y'all be talking about all this help, all this help, all this help. Okay, I got $300 in food stamps.
I think that when we have these conversations, and being real, living in reality like you spoke of, a lot of times we see it play out in where it gets to a point where it's my baby, right? As far as when it comes from women, it's my baby, it's my child. I need you to do what I need you to do when I need you to do it. And if you don't do that, then you're a bad person or you're a deadbeat. I told y'all the story. My daughter was sitting with me in the house. No. That was another time. My daughter went to her mom and for the summer, and her mom hit me up and asked me to pay for something for her during that summer, and I said no. And she called me a deadbeat. So it was just like, what? It doesn't even make sense. But these are the things that happen, and where I'm not going to get online and just be like, oh, guess what she said. No, but she could have very well told that story, and I would just be labeled as a deadbeat. Meanwhile, my baby coming back to me in 2 weeks to start school. And so a lot of these situations in where I hear what you're saying, but there are underlying things in where you feel like this is my child and I need you because I have them the majority of the time. Because you only see them on the weekend and I got, a certain level of custody primary, then you need to understand that. And so now anything I ask you to do, you need to do it. Any request, any want, any need, anything that comes up, surprise in my life, you need to be there to hold it down. And if you don't, you are a deadbeat or a bad person because I have to
Because we're
child you all the
going,
time.
Rashad, that's happening because we're going against our nature. The woman ain't wrong for feeling like that. It's just not
No,
supposed to be
that
this
is
way,
that
bro.
is wrong.
No, it's just not supposed to be this way. It's not
But that
supposed to
still
be
doesn't. But
that
that
you're over
still.
there with your new bitch and I'm
Why are
here
you
by
worried about
myself
that?
figuring it out. No, because
See, and
because we're
I'm glad you
talking
said that.
about how
Hold
we're
on.
talking
I'm
about the
glad you
woman's
said that because
actions.
there's a lot of things that go on. Because one, why are you worried about who I'm with? This is about me, this child.
Yes, I'm worried about who you're with. I'm over here with this 8-month-old baby, and while you over there with your new bitch, and I'm struggling, you could call me bitter, call me whatever you want. This is God designed, okay? If she wasn't bitter, that's a weird ass person. I'm telling you right now. So it's like we're combating things that are natural to feel. Of course, I'm
But
fucking
what I'm
bitter.
saying, but can you see how that bitterness? Because you,
Rashad, no, y'all are speaking from the men's standpoint. You busted the nut and then you waited the 9 months and then you had to do whatever financially you had to do. I have to breastfeed. I gotta sit here with this baby and my mind is fucked up. My lights don't look the same. You could go on like nothing ever really happened. I cannot. So why do you keep speaking up so flippantly as if you even got the right to feel the things that you feel? You don't. That's how I feel. You don't have that right.
but see, I think that because you asked early on in the conversation how I think it was me or you and how these narratives are formed, right? And where you can feel those things, right? But once the negative narratives are attached and it's coming from bitterness, you just admitted it. So you are hurt, and it's rightfully so because of whatever that happened in the relationship. Who knows? There's a lot of reasons why people break up. But for you to be moving within that hurt, and now we see weaponizing the child. Now we see the social media posts of trying to expose. Now we see why you over there, that bitch, you can't see your baby because you got a girl in the house. Now we see all of these things that
Telling
without
you, you don't have to. It's just not fair to say that because you don't have to see it from the man. And there's a reason. So it's just like, I mean, how rich and how convenient. You don't have to ever see it from the nigga because the nigga don't give a fuck. So yes, shoot her because she the only one that had feelings to the shit. Okay.
don't make me a bad person. Go ahead, Watcher. Then we got Rasheem.
Yeah, no, I understand both sides. I do understand what Kenya's speaking about, and I've thought deeply on that in my own personal life, to be quite honest. And obviously, for the audience, the solution here, this is why marriage is so important. I know this whole conversation began with the idea of the Joe Button podcast, and to avoid all these problems, get married, stay married, and you can avoid these issues we're speaking about. But I'll say this much: You- there are and Rashad said it before, go look it up. This is for the listening audience right now. Everybody this week, when y'all out and about, y'all moving throughout y'all cities, wherever y'all respectively live at, look around at the homeless people you see out there. Count how many homeless mothers and children you see on the streets. I'm gonna say it again. I want you to count how many times you're out and about in your day. You're gonna see homeless people all throughout your community. I'm sure you will. We know the rate of cost of living is increasing drastically in our country, and a lot of folks are struggling. But I encourage you, when you're looking around, see how many times you count a mother and child homeless on the street corner somewhere. Very few and far between when you see that. Now contrast that with how often you see a homeless man. It is the case, and Kenya makes a very good point, I'm not denying those, but it is the case, thankfully, in our country, we have the level of entitlement programs through our tax system and so forth that at least affords women and children structure. We don't have to see homeless women and children on the streets because there's plenty of programs and opportunities out there for them. They may not be ideal, it may not be the Ritz-Carlton, but my point still remains, women and children are not homeless on the streets in America by and large.
Go ahead, Rasheem.
Yeah, what I was just gonna say to all of this is, I think what we do a lot of these discussions, we add in like our personal biases or maybe our own experiences into the matter. And again, I do get what Ken is saying too, right? Like, look, when two people get together and make a child, all right, I would I don't have the numbers, but I would go on and say that majority of them want to stay together, right? Or if they're not, they're gonna work out some type of co-parenting plan, whatever it is, right? And I don't want us to like look at this discussion and only look at like the quote unquote deadbeats or like celebrity culture and assume that that's the main generalization for like all those who are single moms or single fathers, right? I think the majority of, not to say that women aren't stressed, not saying most of them are probably carrying the load here and there, but at the end of the day, whether they're broken up or not, I think the couple in itself is trying their best to co-parent, provide the child, all of those things, right? So, yeah, I guess that's all I was trying to say. I think it's best that. Oh, and also the last point I want to make. Sorry, I just remembered with Kenya's point. Yeah, I get it, right? Like with the stress and all that stuff that she's experiencing, is it right just for her to go off on a guy because she's trying to burn a load? No, I mean, she could be upset and also that I get that too. But if we're gonna go to like disrespect and all those things that we know is not gonna be beneficial, then she has to try her best to find the ways to, I don't know, not to brush it off, but properly cope and properly find ways to communicate. Not to sound like I'm also gaslighting her, but find ways to effectively communicate what she's going through so you can still insert that support that you need, whether it's emotionally, financially, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that it especially in, long-term relationships or where the relationship didn't work, or even just, a one-night stand type situation, there is an emotional aspect to feeling hurt from either side, because if the relationship isn't, amicable breakup, but that doesn't give you carte blanche to play with somebody's character, or use kids as a pawn or stuff like that in the ways that we see because you're upset that the relationship didn't last, right? And so that's just the place and where I'm speaking from, because if a woman gets up and says, you know what, nigga, I done dealt with you long enough and I'm over with, like, we don't even have the Cardi B situation. Cardi said Offset doing foul shit. You didn't seen him get on Twitter and say I won, and he looking like he want to try to show her up. He posting Dreka and all that type of. I'm the one that said Offset look crazy, fam. Let that woman go. You know what I mean? He want her to pay for taxes and all kind of shit and give him money and give him property. He's probably hurt that she left, right? But it's still the sentiments of nigga, she gone, shape up, stop doing this weird ass shit. So it's crazy that we can see it on one end, but then we can't see it on the other end. And so that's all I'm saying. Him doing all this stuff behind the scenes with this woman is foul. Move on, fam. You done cheated, you done lied, and now she done got her shit, and she gone, and now you want to act like a hoe. I think that should be fair across the board, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. Kenya said, fuck that shit. You gonna get this wrath. Nasty. I told the story about my homeboy. He was sending $600 in child support. And I think it was payday. They took that money out of his shit. And his baby mama called him and was like, yeah, the boy need haircuts. And he was like, child support just came today. She said, shut up, nigga, keep working and give me that money. And hung up the phone. I was like, wow. Yeah, I'd be sick. I'm not gonna hold you.
Right. And for every story you got, I might got 10. Like, so what's to it?
Like, man, that was a nasty one. That hurt me. And that was before I even had kids. And I heard that. I was like, damn, that's nasty. She mad at you, fam. Y'all be nasty, man. I ain't
Uh,
gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you.
y'all be nasty.
We don't tell
Right.
those stories. I think the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We don't tell our stories. We don't. I
Rashad.
told. Listen, I told one story about my lip getting bit. There's a lot more. There is a
Oh
lot
my, that's
more.
crazy.
I got a
The
lot in
lip
the
fight is
chamber
crazy.
that I just hold it
No,
down.
but that tells me, Rashad, that you're, and you know what, and a lot of y'all be sounding so well-meaning and well-spoken and so, just so well-rounded and normal, but behind the scenes, you probably are an absolute tyrant and a piece of shit, because why are these girls
Oh
doing
my
that to
God.
you? Why,
Oh
why
my
are they
God.
doing that to you?
Listen,
I'm supposed to believe that they're just insane. You just ran into the few schizophrenic bitches that exist.
out
No,
of
and all of
all
y'all
the
did,
women in
all
the
of y'all
Yes.
ran
world,
into them.
I
I don't
had to
believe.
pick, you know, the
Some
crazy
listen,
ones.
some women do be crazy. Listen,
Man,
some women do be
listen,
crazy. I ain't gonna lie,
they
man.
crazy. I be in fear for my life. I got to sleep with one eye open. Not now though, God bless. But back in the day, come on, man, people breaking into my house, all kind of shit. I don't know what's going on.
The one time I punched a man, he was fucking my enemy. The second time I split his ear with that motherfucking
You a
watering
habitual
hole,
man puncher.
What?
he
Okay.
It's
was
the same guy.
married. So,
Wait, wait, wait,
So
it's
you
the
so
just
same
like
guy.
punching niggas. Okay.
no, it's not the same guy. That's the point.
Imagine
Two
a nigga
different
coming up on
men
Why
with
did you,
two
Kenya?
different actions.
hold on. Imagine a nigga coming up on stage and say, yeah, I punched this bitch because of this. And then I've got in another relationship and punched this bitch too. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Kenya, that's nasty work, Kenya.
Of
And let me
course
say
it
this.
won't
Can I hold
sound the
on? Let me add
same.
one
Get
more.
your big brolic 285-pound ass off of her. No, it don't look the same. I'm
Hold on.
125, 130.
Oh
Let me
Lord.
say this also. If you remember, Rashad, the other day we had this conversation surrounding P. Diddy. Remember the P. Diddy dialogue we had and about character and mixed character and once you do this and the third, how you should be reviewed and canceled and all of that other mix, right? Now we hear a little bit of a different narrative. There's certain instances
Watch her. I said in that conversation, I said that if I had to wear the abuser jacket and y'all wanted to shun me from society, I would eat that. I said that. But there's a reason why you
Abuser.
wouldn't and you don't, because you don't think I'm a harm to you. The hell?
Well, I actually got you cut his ear open or whatever you said.
It was
Not
on
with those
accident.
130
It was on
pounds.
accident. It was on
Listen,
accident.
we gotta sage the room. Kenya up here beating niggas up. We gotta sage the room. Come on.
All
Let's
right,
get to
not
it.
this song though.
Gotta sage the room. Kenya putting her hands on these niggas out here. Wake it up.
No, all right.
Call the police. Call the sheriff.
And no man on this stage has ever put his hands on a woman. No, please, no, please
Never.
don't
I'm
stay on
clear.
mute now.
Never, never,
Never.
never,
Never. Now, okay, that's two
Never.
nevers.
never.
Okay, that's two nevers. Rel, who else gonna
Kenya,
fire?
I have never. Are you
Never.
crazy?
Never.
I'm
Oh my God,
married.
wait,
I would
three
never
nevers.
do
Okay,
it.
Rasheem, I don't think you have. Okay, I just feel like y'all lying because you definitely like grabbed her collar or shoved her a little bit. Stop it. Stop it.
You
Stop
said,
it.
Never.